Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. It's a decent Monday, I would say. I mean, I don't know how many of you were expecting Lazio to beat Atalanta in this circumstance. So I guess a point is still a point, right? Uh, Not a terrible performance. I thought the first 25 minutes Lazio was playing much better than I expected. And then in the second half, I thought fatigue, Alasdair, players just back from injury the day before. It was a difficult situation for Sarri to manage. And I think we saw it, right? But overall, a point is still decent, especially, I mean, looking what's happening around the league, right? Fiorentina is bottom of the table. Who could have thought in October, end of October, seeing Fiorentina 3 points? Bottom of the table, Lazio above Fiorentina, after the transfer market they did. So, I mean, there's someone who is in a worse situation than us, Alistair. So that's not that bad, right?
No, and I think, to be honest, this crisis, if we can call it that, of the injury suspensions, all the issues I guess Sarri has faced in the last 3 games, reintegrate Basic and reorganize the team into a new formation at times, and there's been a lot thrown at this team in the last 3 rounds, and it feels like, and it certainly looks like on the TV, that it's really brought them together as a group, because I think that was a real collective performance yesterday. They were really up against it in moments. They really had to dig in, but they were really well organized. They fought for each other. It was a very disciplined team performance that I really think did show it had Sarri fingerprints all over it. I think he'll be very happy with the kind of the determination, the togetherness that was on display to get that point, especially after Cancellieri limped off after only 20 minutes. At which point I had my head in my hand. Believe it.
Imagine last October if someone told you, hey, against Atalanta, Cancellieri get injured and Sarri has to change his plan, because Sarri said, we had a plan, with Cancellieri, we were hoping to have space, and he's very dangerous when he has space, and that was our plan. Imagine 1 year ago thinking about Lazio preparing a game against Atalanta, thinking about how to use Cancellieri. Things have changed massively, Alistair, right? And I mean,
and Basic, like genuinely, we live in a world now where Basic and Cancellieri are two of our most important players.
And to be honest, Basic had a terrific game yesterday, right? Someone were concerned when Basic went off because he was playing well. Now, obviously, we have to say something. This is, what is it, the third game in a row he starts after 1 year and a half of not playing a single minute. And the reason why he was subbed yesterday is that he had cramps. And I mean, my God, it's quite normal, right? After 2 years not playing, you suddenly have to play 90 minutes, 3 games in a row. You can see it happening. But I don't know how many of you, when you saw Cancellieri limping off, you said, oh my God, Cancellieri is injured. I mean, 1 year ago, we would say, who cares? He's on the bench if he's lucky. And same thing, Alistair. I think we found out yesterday why Isaacson is not playing. He's not even close to his top condition, right? Isaacson is one that when he runs with the ball, it's difficult to tackle. The Atalanta defender didn't have to do that much to stop Isaacson. He's still far away from a decent shape, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, on Cancellieri, I mean, I did just feel really bad for him, as much as my own personal worries and so on. It's such a shame. The timing of it is such a shame, because this is his moment. This is his breakthrough moment in Atalanta, his breakthrough moment of his career, really at the kind of top end of Serie A. I know we're not up there for a big club in Serie A. And he's been in such good form before the break, turning kind of decent performances into difference-making performances and finding his first goals for the club and so on. and really nailing down that starter. But the timing of this injury is such a shame. It looks like it's another muscular one. It looks like 3 weeks or so out, at a time when obviously we've already Tati Castellanos, Nicolo Rovella, running through every injury we've had in the last few weeks, but key players. So that is a shame, and I think it is time now, like you say, for Isaacson to rediscover that top fitness and form, because I can understand it's been difficult for him, because obviously he had this horrible illness in the summer, and it really does take a while to get back to your condition necessary to compete at this level after being out for that long. He spoke about it actually, and it really didn't sound great. Being isolated, being in bed for a time. It really did take him out of the game for quite a while. So I can understand why he's not looking at his sharpest yet. But at this point, that's probably a combination of recovery and of not really having played much, because he's barely had any minutes on the pitch this season. So I agree with you. There was a moment where I can't remember if it was Heen or who it was, but he managed to kind of knock the ball past a player, but he just didn't have the legs to kind of make the breakaway in the way that you would have expected him to, perhaps, last season. So I think, he needs to seize this moment in the way that Cancellieri did, because that was Cancellieri's opportunity, was Isaacson's, and now, it's flipped on its head, and he needs to seize this moment.
Who's going to take the opportunity now?
Tell me.
Tijani Noslin, obviously, right? Isaacson is not fit. Cancellieri is injured. I mean, to be honest with you, I was surprised he didn't have an opportunity yesterday. Dia performance wasn't great at all. In the first 20 minutes, where Lazio was playing better, he didn't control a ball that wasn't very difficult. And if he did, he was 1-1 against Carnesecchi. So that was a massive opportunity. If you go ahead after 10 minutes, the game is completely different. So that was a wasted opportunity. And I don't understand why Noslin didn't start or didn't come in. The other thing, Alasdair, I wanted to mention is that when we saw the starting 11, nobody thought about Cancellieri getting injured. All our concern was Zaccagni had just a training on Saturday and he's starting the game. He's not going to finish it, right? I was at least concerned that he couldn't finish the first half. Instead, it was Cancellieri. This tells you how difficult was the situation. We had Marusic that had probably just a couple of training with the team. Zaccagni only Saturday. Vecino, who came in the second half, had a couple of full training sessions with the team. We didn't have only a couple of players out. We had other players who just had a couple of trainings in the last 2 weeks. So it was a very scary situation for us. Even Dia had a couple of training in the last 2 weeks. So this situation is concerning. And I thought Atalanta played better, obviously. But getting a point, it's a good performance, even because, Alasdair, in the past, especially last year, we were saying, we played well, but we made that mistake. We made this mistake, etc. Last year, pretty much 99% of the goals Lazio conceded was one of our mistakes, right? Goalkeeper, defender, etc. Yesterday, we didn't concede nothing. We were perfect. And you can see the difference, right? They hit the bar once, but Provedel was amazing, probably the best game so far in the season. Gila was amazing. And these are good signs, right? Let's talk about the positive sign from Atalanta Lazio.
The man of the moment is Provedel, really, after that game, and deservedly so. Things quite interesting. I'm sure those of our listeners who are Patreon subscribers will have listened to our Q&A during the break and our breakdown of the Provedel v Mandas debate. And obviously I dug out a few statistics there that actually showed that Provedel's rate of important saves this season has actually been really good. And then, 3 days later, he goes and makes it even. That was, like you say, his best performance this season. He's now got the most saves in Serie A this season as well, of all goalkeepers, not to mention the actual outperforming XG figures that display how important those saves have been. So, I can completely understand why people want to see more of Mandas. He's the exciting, bright young thing, but we had the form that Provedel's showing, because that was his performance, his best of the season. Some, real highlight saves, but I think actually, to be honest, his all was good. He was commanding the box really well. He was very reactive. He wasn't making mistakes kicking the ball out all the time. So I think, and like you say, worth mentioning too, we'll get onto it, but Provedel, we've discussed him several times this season in the context of whether he should be making more important saves, whether he should be making the difference, whether Mandas should get a chance. But Vittorio, there's no other thing to do after than just applaud him, isn't there?
Yeah, now I have to check if he's one of our Patreon, because probably he heard our Q&A, and I don't think he's a patron, but hey,
he's using performance.
Maybe he's another name, or has a friend that is a patron of us. If you want to support the podcast, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge, $2 a month, and you have this exclusive Q&A and our podcast ads free. So think about it. But yeah, it was the perfect timing, right? We were struggling, we were in the full emergency mode, and Provedel show up in a great way, and it's encouraging. As Sadi said, he saved us, and can this be a turnaround moment for Provedel? Because he said it after the game. Last year, I didn't play at Lazio level. This year, I hope I can improve and go back to my performance, which I thought yesterday he did. We have to be honest and say that Atalanta missed a couple of opportunities, and that taking off Lukman was, for me, a huge mistake from Juric. But it was good to see Provedel performing like that. And, Sunday there's at Lazio Juventus, another very important match. We definitely need another good performance from Provedel. But if this can be the turning point, last year I felt it was the first game on the bench for Provedel, Mandas starting against Atalanta. So that was the turnaround in the opposite way. So let's hope these away games changes things for Provedel. We need a good goalkeeper. Let's not forget that the year we finished second, Provedel was terrific, and we finished with 21 clean sheets thanks to our goalkeeper as well. So goalkeepers are important in this game.
Absolutely. And I think that we're now getting, with a performance like that, to a recognizably old Sarri kind of structure. I guess that feels more like it. It's hard to say that we're building towards that after just having a 3-3 draw in the previous game. But we're not losing matches for a little while now, and that's encouraging. 5.3 games. Again, you'd probably hope for more given the Torino match, but it's not bad. Yeah, and yeah, it looks just like the big team slayer this season. I don't know what is happening to that guy, but he's really got the fire under him. Look, it's a good building block, especially I think it was important to come back from the break and get something from that match. And when we face Juventus this weekend, to stand a chance of winning, we're going to have to offer something in the final third. But as well, because you mentioned him already, but he's someone we've started questioning a little bit. I can't remember if it was the last podcast or the one before that you said, we got his place in the team at the moment because he keeps mistakes and we're not seeing the best of him. This was Gila at the kind of proper best, I think, where he's fired up, he's throwing himself in goals, where your kind of heart is in your mouth all the time because he feels like he's always away from a red card, but he seems to have a way of timing these tackles. There were a couple of wild moments where he didn't quite get things right, but it looks amazing when he's defending like that. Obviously, I don't know what it is, maybe about Atalanta that's getting him so fired up, but he's gesturing towards the Atalanta curva, sticking his tongue out at them, getting off by the referee, reading the game really well. He made a lot of good interceptions, and well as the tackles, and his kind of break on the ball out of defense and so on. That's much more like it, Vittorio, because we've not really seen him having that kind of fire in the belly kind of performance for this whole season, really. I don't think.
I want to see a central defense Patrick Gila. I mean, that should be funny, right? Sliding all over the place, cheering for every tackle, etc. That should be funny. But yeah, I mean, a friend of mine during the game wrote me, "Hey, is that Alessandro Nesta back?" He made a couple of Nesta slides tackle, right? And at a certain moment, I was concerned because we were very close for a red card, etc. But hey, he's playing great. He played great. He didn't play all season, but yesterday he was terrific. And hey, we want him like that because he can make a difference. He can have a huge impact. And he's very important for us. And I have to say that what was it, the last couple of minutes, he did that sign, sub me off to the bench. I was really scared because it was 5-6 minutes left. And with Lazio, in 6 minutes, anything could happen. And he said it was Tavares going out. Proskat left back, Alasdair. Do we want to talk about it? I mean, when I saw Proskat coming in, I thought, okay, Hila's going out or Romagnoli. Proskat left back instead of Nuno Tavares. That's weird, right?
Yeah, talk about polar opposites. I mean, I think this happened at the end of last season, didn't it? I think he even made you there, if I remember right. The end of last season, coming on as a left back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Sarri likes him, but doesn't obviously acknowledges that it's hard for him in the team at the moment. And when we've seen him come on, it's been for pretty short spells at the end of games. I mean, I don't think this is a long-term. I don't think he's a left back. But if you're trying to lock down a game, I can kind of see why he's done it, just to kind of give you that, because again, it's the same Nuno yesterday, wasn't it? There's nothing new learned from yesterday about Nuno Tavares. I mean, a few very powerful, exciting breaks on the ball, sprinting up into the opposition half to create chaos and uncertainty, which is such a dangerous weapon when he does that. But then, losing possession in bad areas, defensively looking a bit like the liability a few times. And it's the same old.
Do you agree with what Sarri said after the game? He said pretty much the first 25 minutes, it was the game for Nuno Tavares. When we struggled in the second half, it wasn't the perfect game for him, and that's why he struggled. Do you agree on Sarri's take? I mean, the first 20 minutes, I saw a good Nuno Tavares, even defending. But it's 95 minutes, a full game now, and you cannot play only 25 minutes, right? You have to be focused for all game long, especially if you're a defender.
Yeah, well, I think the first half was a more balanced game. It was, either side was creating big opportunities, but it was one of those kind of very tactical Serie A matches. Like the two coaches were in a bit of a battle and trying to work out how to exploit the spaces and so on. And it did feel like Tavares would be useful in that context. Whereas second half, definitely backs to the wall, digging in, defending, and give up on the hope of getting a win, unless it was going to come from a corner or a set piece or something. And so I can understand where he's coming from there, because he's not really a buzz or someone you particularly trust to be there in that moment. And that I still can't work out if he's at fault or not, but there was that moment where the corner was flicked to the back post and Ahanor just kind of knocked it wide, and Tavares is just kind of standing there. And I don't know if there was a way he should have been positioned better, reacted better, but the camera kind of panned to him and he's kind of standing there looking a bit kind of like, oops.
Yeah. He missed an incredible chance. I couldn't believe it. But Alasdair, before I forget, first half, when Lazio was still playing decent football, we had a free kick close to the Kaneseki goal on the right side. Who takes the free kick? Toma Basic.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
A friend of mine wrote me, said, "What the hell are we doing? Why Basic is taking a free kick?"
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I was so ready. Like when he was lining that ticket, I was genuinely thinking, this is going in. It's just like the kind of narrative for this is too strong for it to not happen. And it wasn't a bad effort, actually. But look, Tomatic, we mentioned yet this line from Sarri after the game. He's when talking about the transfer market and the block and all the rest of it, his was that Basic is unsellable, Vittorio. I mean, if there's one thing he's definitely been, it's sellable. And Lazio have been unable to sell him for 2 years, and now we're in this position.
Well, for 2 years he was unsellable. We didn't sell him, right? So there's something there.
In a different way.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine Basic taking a free kick, but imagine Basic getting off the pitch annoyed because he got subbed. That's incredible, Alison. And Lazio fan being concerned because Basic got subbed. He played well yesterday, let's be honest. He was probably one of our best midfielder. And, this morning I was hearing the Lazio radio, and Ramaudia, former Lazio player, said, it's not even a discussion. Basic is much better than Del Bashiro. He has been this season. And he's not wrong, right? Basic played much better than Del Bashiro so far.
Yeah, and that was the first time we've seen him in a Deli Bashiru position, let's say, the left mid-Sala. And yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He looks more comfortable there than Deli Bashiru has or than Belayan has. And that's because neither of those guys are naturally a mid-Sala, whereas that is Basic's position. And yeah, I don't think he's someone who's going to light up a game for you. But in terms of doing the stuff that Sarri wants from that role, which is, he puts real into the press. He takes the ball and moves it on cleanly. He's not giving the ball in stupid positions or making suicide passes. He's not trying to be a hero all the time and smashing balls over from distance. But I feel like he is helping that midfield work as a unit. And I've been so impressed by his condition. I was thinking this yesterday. Like, he looks fit, looks really fit and sharp. And that is huge credit to him. I mean, I've said this, but what a kind of personality or mentality to have, be able to be so publicly kind of thrown out by both the club and the fans, and then just be working away in the background in order to find himself for this moment after that amount of time. Because it's not just, Sarri mentioned the fact that it's not just physically but mentally. Like, he is ready for this, and it's so, I just can't really believe what we've been seeing from him, but it's very encouraging.
I think mentally it's even more incredible to believe, because if for 2 years, because he didn't play for 2 years, he's not only sharp but focused for 95 minutes. That's the thing. I mean, Dele Bashiru probably is a better player, but how often do you see Dele Bashiru completely out of the game for 5-10 minutes, out of position, focusing to something else, not looking at the ball, etc.? Basic, for how long he stayed in the pitch yesterday, he was 100% in the game. Defending, attacking, running. He was perfect on that point of view. So that, for a player who's been out for 2 years, that's not really easy. Sarri said, I saw him improve mentally, and I agree. I thought he was a little bit shy, when he had the opportunity in the past with Sarri. I mean, we saw him missing some chances and be like a little bit too afraid. I think now he knows, hey, this is my last opportunity. I could be out again for another couple of years if I don't play sharp. And that's what he's doing. So big kudos to Basic. And again, this is the thing. When Dele Bashiru comes back, hopefully before January, I don't think he's going to be relegated to the bench again. I think Basic is a starter, and Dele Bashiru has to dig his way up in the starting 11, which, seeing how he plays so far, is not going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. And this is the fascinating thing about this season and the squad this season, is that there isn't this huge gulf in class between who the starters are and who the benches are. We've just mentioned the Cancellieri Isaacson dynamic, but the same can be said for the strikers between Tati and Dia and Noslin, or between those midfielders or the fullback. We've even discussed the goalkeepers. So there's guys who know that they can fight for shirts, which is important in order to keep them. There's a bit of a history, at Lazio of seemingly discarded or gone cooked players making comebacks. I mean, think about Patrick when he first arrived and he became almost a joke figure. I remember going to a Europa League game where there was like no one there, like 3,000 people, and he scored a goal, and it was like the biggest reception from the crowd because it was like so funny to everyone that Patrick had done something. And then he's made this comeback to be a really important player. Caicedo was a joke figure and then became a really important player. Mario Gila he just wasn't part of the squad until he got his chance, and now he's become a starter. So, look, I mean, Basic for me is the biggest example of a comeback from the brink of exit. We gotta hope he keeps it up. It's such an important for us this season. So for him to come in out of nowhere and claim it is huge. But Vittorio, before we finish, we need to put an eye towards the game this weekend, because Juventus, it's a massive game. Feels like not the worst time to be coming, considering their own form, their own issues. We can sympathize with a 2-0 defeat in Como. We know how that feels. But what do you think? I mean, it's clearly Lazio a lot positive defensively from this game, but in attack we offered so little that surely we're going to have to think of something.
Yeah, definitely. Alasdair, Juventus is such a strange team. They started really well the season, and now the last 6 games between Champions League and Serie A, they didn't win none of them. They had 5 draws and now the defeat yesterday. And it looks to me they have a very, very interesting player. Yildiz is a very talented player. But when he switch off, Juventus is gone, is invisible. Yesterday, Yildiz played a very good first half, but pretty much didn't do nothing in the second. And Juventus was non-existent. They have 2 interesting players, and one of them I wish I had it at Lazio. I'm talking of Francisco Conceição. Those are 2 talented players. They are a little bit, inconsistent, but I mean, I hope Vlahovic doesn't start on Sunday, because I think he's the most dangerous player they have. But their defense is conceding a lot. I don't like their goalkeeper at all. The question is, the problem I feel is that, yes, probably it's the best moment, but you can see the other way around. I mean, Tudor, if he doesn't win against us, he's going to be fired, right? So he's going to do everything in his hands to win that game. Obviously, they have Real Madrid in the Champions League, which is not going to be easy. And I hope it's going to take them off energy, maybe a couple of injuries, something like that. But yeah, they are not. Let's be honest, we saw Igor Tudor as a manager, right? And I wasn't convinced at Lazio that he was a great manager. So when he signed for Juventus, I thought that wasn't the right decision for them. And I'm seeing it, right? So I think Sarri is better, but we have to see what players we have available. So that's the biggest question mark, right?
And they'll be looking at they'll also be looking at Lazio as being a good time to get Lazio, because obviously we've got off to a poor start. We've got injury problems. We can't. Okay, we got 3 against Torino, but we're having problems this season in general. So yeah, it's certainly a tough one to call. That the fact, like you mentioned, that they have to travel to Spain, play Real Madrid on Wednesday, that is an interesting part of this, because it's going to pile a lot of pressure on them if they suffer heavy. Like you say, Tudor is now facing a lot of rumors about the sack. For me, I don't think they really necessarily did him in the first place. It was they were put into that Club World Cup situation where they just had to make a decision. Hadn't got anyone else lined up, so on he stayed, and here they are. But yeah, like you say, yieldable talent. They do have a lot of good players, a lot of good attacking talent in that team. He's just not really been able to work out how to use it all, or which of his strikers. You said you don't want Vlahovic to start. I wouldn't mind that, because the theme this season tends to be that Vlahovic is useless when he starts, great when he comes off the bench. So actually Vlahovic playing from the start might not be the worst thing for Lazio. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, thinking about the way we've just played against Atalanta, I think it's created a bit of feel good, because everyone's fighting for each other, and the fans can get behind that kind of performance. So this could be a big moment in the season for Lazio. If they can go and beat Juventus at home after just had, I really think people will start to feel better about this team. And because it's been a difficult start to the season, and sooner or later you need like a moment that's going to spark the enthusiasm, and this could be it if they manage to get it right.
Yeah, we said that these 2 games, Atalanta Juventus, are very dangerous. You could lose both and be bottom of the table, but if you get points, maybe a win, it could change your season. So definitely that's going to be. And again, Juventus is not a team that scares me that much. I mean, obviously they're better than Lazio, but they're not far away from us. So I think there's a huge opportunity if we play decent football, obviously, which is something that it didn't happen very often. Alasdair, I think we can wrap it up here. It was a good draw. It's encouraging points. Obviously, the biggest news we are waiting for is from the injury list, right? Are we going to get someone back? Pellegrini maybe, etc. Rovella, I don't think he's going to be fit. Maybe Tati, who knows? No, Tati is going to be out 1.5 months. So let's see who we get back. And let's hope that Lazio plays another good match against Juventus. It's a difficult game. It's not impossible. But crossing finger, we're going to see the same Lazio we saw yesterday, the same focused Lazio we saw. And who knows, maybe Basic is going to score the decisive goal against Juventus. That's going to be massive, right? Thanks, Alasdair, for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Take care, and we're going to be back next Monday after Lazio Juventus. Take care.
Cheers.